Alright, we seem to have lost audio, so I'm looking into that now. It's happening the other day too, and I don't know why it's doing that, but there's more than one way to do this, though. One moment, please. I'm not sure if that's the right one, so hang on just maybe so, so let me just close out this other one. Okay, I don't know what's going on. No matter how many times I try to spin this thing up, it gets to the same place and then it just stops. Also, I heard you guys complaining about my mic. Do I sound any better now? Trying to track that down while I'm in here too. Alright, now I got nothing. Wait, there we go. Hang on, I know what I did wrong, I think. 'Cause I've got him now, but now you guys don't, but I think I can fix that. One moment, please. Oh, too many moving parts. Too many moving parts. I'm not used to having to piggyback this way, so I screwed it up. One moment. Like,
Loving it. It just stokes my inner nerd. Anyways, so I'm kind of a lazy prepper, and I've got things going on. So yeah, I got redundant systems. This last update, I think I've narrowed it down, especially at Rick and Jeff. If you're listening, I've narrowed it down. I'm pretty sure that I just had this huge update from MicroSlut, and I think the MicroSlut update has done something to my computer. So it's no big deal. I'll just plug in my little Samsung Galaxy tablet, which I used to go from all the time. The audio quality suffers just a little bit because of the way it has to be hooked up. But you know what? It's a podcast. What do you want? So guys in chat, thank you for joining. Hey, if you're catching me, if I'm breaking up or if you just don't hear anything at all, let me know. But hopefully the sound's okay. We're just gonna do this. I got no choice. I have to bloviate for.
This episode is sponsored by MailChimp. Let's talk customers. A customer is what happens when marketers fail to personalize their marketing.
Somehow I
Grouping
had his wrong
customers with
episode
very
for 1
different
second.
behaviors into one tangled mess.
I don't know what
But with
happened. It came
MailChimp,
to the wrong feed.
marketers can use real-time
It was like
behavior
the-
data to personalize every email for every customer. Turn your customers into customers with Intuit MailChimp, the #1 AI-powered email marketing and automation platform, now with SMS. Based on December 2023 publicly available data on competitors' numbers of customers.
In a world where screens dominate and loneliness lurks behind every like, it's time to reclaim what truly matters. It's time to reconnect, not just to Wi-Fi, but to each other. At Country Leisure, we believe in bringing families closer, one swim or hot tub soak at a time. Because while technology connects us, it's real connections that truly bind us together. Start swimming instead of scrolling with Country Leisure on I-35 and more. Visit us online today.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Okay, now I'm even more
Today,
confused.
this breakfast isn't just breakfast.
We should be
It might
joining
the
his
first
live feed,
McDonald's
and this
breakfast
is
you're
not his
having
live
at
feed.
McDonald's again.
Hang on.
This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought
Maybe
for
I
not
need to
just you in a
refresh.
while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's,
I had to
we're here to
refresh.
take it.
Aha.
Get more of the chicken you
Always
love with
something.
a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra buck, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities. At participating McDonald's cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
An uncertain
For this one instead, and hit play.
Radio chat. We
All
have
right.
fine, distinguished gentlemen.
There,
such
now
as
we're
Rex.
finally on the right one. I'm going
We
away.
got Raptor. We got Rowdy Rick, who is behind the controls. Sorry, Rick, I had to start everything all over again. There was some settings. Yes, Rex, you're absolutely right. Windows 10 just had this huge update, and everything is screwed. It is. We got Clovian in there. Thank you for jumping in there. We got Secret Amish Man, who may or may not be Amish. I don't know. We're not going to reveal his real identity. So let's get into. Thanks, guys, for jumping in there. Thanks for everybody listening to me tonight. I feel just a little discombobulated, as it were. A lot of things going on. The obvious one, of course, being what happened yesterday. And I guess I got to touch on this. I know I'm not going to stay the entire show on it because Rick Robinson's coming after me. America Off the Rails is coming on after me. Right at hopefully 10 o'clock. He's going to have Jay Homestead on with him. And I guarantee you they're going to get into a much more detailed show about what happened yesterday at the Donald Trump rally. But I got to throw a few things out there. Number one, if you are a Democrat leader, or if you are a Democrat social media influencer, if you are the current president of these United States, if you are a Congress critter, mostly on the left and even a few on the right, and you're sitting there right now going, well, how could this have happened? How could it be that this person boldly trotted right on to a Donald Trump rally, got up on a roof, and fired shots at the former president of the United States, killing a person, critically wounding another person? How is that? Well, let me give you some insight. You have spent since technically really 2008, calling everybody on the right side of Stalin, of Marx, of Lenin. Anybody right of them, you've been calling them terrorists, homeland terrorists. You've been referring to patriots as criminals, as homeland terrorists. When Donald Trump walked down those stairs and announced his presidency, you started right there, banging the drum. He's going to destroy the United States. When he became president, what did he do? We had, 3.5 years of some of the best economy, best lives the middle class has seen since Ronald Reagan. Even though they tried to tell you, oh, you're doing horribly, we were doing great. It took a global pandemic, and we're not going to get into that. I've got questions about that, but we're not going to get into it. It took a global pandemic to stop the freight train that was becoming the United States of America's economy. Since he started running for president, you have referred to Donald Trump as practically Hitler, a fascist, a hateful bigot, a racist. Just boom, boom, boom. You have stacked up the rhetoric against him. And the closer he got to the election, the more your rhetoric heated up. And when he decided to run for president again, and when he won the primaries again this time, the rhetoric, the drums started beating. He's practically Hitler. We have to do everything in our power to keep him out of the White House. Everything in our power. And I mean everything in our power. And it came from the president of the United States. It came from all the Democrat Congress critters. It came from the media Democrat lapdogs who sat there with a serious look into their cameras and they said, we have to stop Donald Trump at all costs. All costs. They kept repeating that over and over and over and over and over again. Enter this scrawny, scraggly freak, social outcast. And we'll get to that part in a minute. And all of a sudden, he takes all of this rhetoric quite seriously and says, I have to put a bullet through this man to save our democracy. And the Democrats go, oh, we don't know what his motives were. Yes, you do. You stinking liars. You were cheering this. I guarantee you behind closed doors. They were bemoaning the fact that this guy missed. They're that slimy. They're that disgusting. They're that moronic. Now, let's actually talk about the guy. Let's talk about this shooter. I'm not going to even mention his name. He doesn't deserve to be mentioned. He's scum. When they said this happened, when the news broke, in my mind, I could just about picture what this shooter looked like. And you know what? I was darn close. He fit the MO. He fit the profile. Am I talking a profile about a shooter? No, I'm not talking about a shooter profile. I'm not talking about a shooter's profile at all. They become shooters. They eventually become shooters. I'm talking about a certain profile that a certain bureaucracy, not to be mentioned on air, preys upon, infiltrates a group of them, talks them into committing heinous crimes, and then arrests them. At least we think they arrest most of them. I have it in my mind sometimes, and I have questions, that sometimes they just let them go and do their thing. And the same bureaucracy has been tasked with investigating this incident, and their very first words, almost from the word go, they haven't even really investigated it. The news is already out. We think he acted alone. Okay, sure. Yep, whatever. I would have loved to seen whatever county that was in, the sheriff's department lock the FBI out and say, nope, this is not your concern. In fact, you're suspects. The only other thing I want to say about this tonight is I'm kind of disheartened. I'm kind of sad. If you were paying attention to the one picture they had of him that they caught right before they shot him, it was like an above shirt or a picture. You noticed a emblem on his shirt. That emblem was from the Demolition Ranch YouTube video site. And, of course, they're going to draw Matthew from Demolition Ranch, Dr. Matt Carricker from Demolition Ranch, into this whole thing. And it bums me out. It makes me sad because this guy is just basically an adult child who likes to shoot things. And he even shot his old pickup truck because it finally died after 300-something miles. He shot it with an army tank just because he could. He has so much fun. He's lighthearted. And he just does things randomly and has a lot of fun. I've watched tons of his videos. Never once have I felt that he was any kind of homeland terrorist, anybody that tries to persuade people to do things they're not supposed to do. So my heart kind of goes out to him. My heart especially goes out to the guy who was killed. That bullet that was meant for our president. Now, I'm not going to jump into the conspiracy theories. Oh, there's tons of conspiracy theories. I've even seen MK Ultra conspiracy theories on this. Most of the conspiracy theories are coming from the left. They're pushing hard. Why are they pushing hard? Because the left, as a whole, as a unit, have painted themselves into a corner. They have painted themselves into a very tight corner with their rhetoric, with their violent rhetoric, with their violent, hate-filled rhetoric that they blame the right for. The left has painted themselves into a corner, and now they want to extend an olive branch. Well, we need to tone things down. I don't think we need to tone things down. I really don't think we need to tone things down. What we need to do, and I am not promoting violence. I do not promote violence. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. As much as I detest Gretchen Whitmer, if somebody was on a building getting ready to shoot her, I would be the first person to tackle her. I might do it pretty hard and shove her face into the ground, but I would save her at all costs. Even Joe Biden. And a lot of people would disagree with me, but you know what? They're human beings. So I do not promote violence at all. But the left has gone full tilt Alex Jones on this whole thing. From it was a fake, Donald Trump set this up, that the guy with the kid was a right-wing nut job. Well, all indications are that he was another Antifa person. But if I had any conspiracy theory about this at all, I would ask deeply to get the FBI out of it and have it investigated by the sheriff's department of that county. Methinks that this smells of another Whitmer kidnapping case, of a hootery case, of so many shooters, school shooters, theater shooters, that after it happens, that bureaucracy stands up and goes, oh, yeah, we had them on our radar. And everybody goes, what? It smells a lot like this. We're going to let this play out. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that this is the truth. What I am going to do is I'm going to keep a very sharp eye focused on this, a hypercritical eye. Yes, Rick, you're exactly right. I'd save her, though. I'd save her. I would. I'd jump and make sure that she was okay. If I was carrying, I would shoot back, defend her, just because she's another human being. But she might hit that pavement pretty hard. Not even going to lie about that. Anyways, that's the difference between the right and the left. The left wants Trump to eat lead. The right, most of the people I know on the right, yeah, sure, there's scumbags. And there's scumbags on both sides, and there's really good people on both sides. I truly believe that. I feel sorry for some of the people who have been misled and believe what's going on, but believe the Democrats when they say stupid things that are just completely unbelievable. But that's the difference between a lot of the people on the right and a lot of the people on the left, is the right, even though they detest somebody, it's a human life, and they're going to work to save it. You can't say that about people on the left. They won't. They would, if they were cheering. They were bemoaning the fact that this bullet missed and cheering the fact that he was shot. Disgusting. And then to have the President of the United States, who just a few days ago was before the American public screeching that Donald Trump had to be stopped, that he was a threat to democracy. He was going to destroy this nation. And now he's out there saying, well, we need to tone things down. We have no evidence. Screw you. No, we don't want to tone things down. What we want to do is we want to make them eat their words. What we want to do, and I'm giving you the plan right now, is at every chance, every angle, every time you see one of these vulgar, nasty, disgusting Democrat Party heads or media talking heads, get out there and go, well, we need to tone things down. Take their own words, and shove it right underneath their social media posts and go, no, this is you. You caused this. You are responsible. You own this. You do not get a pass. You do not get off the hook. You do not get to tell us that, well, you're being extremists because you're telling us what we said. No, we're coming after you. And I want every one of these trash balls voted out in November. Did you really, Clovian? We'll have to talk about that. I'm Alan Ray. You know what? And here we go. You know, I really hate to be like this, but this whole Donald Trump thing isn't the only thing going on. Folks, we got some things happening that aren't good. It spells doom! Not even kidding. And we're going to get into it, starting right now. A month ago, if you remember, and I had it on here, I quoted the Associated Press about a U.S. Navy submarine arriving at Guantanamo Bay in a show of force as a fleet of Russian warships gathered for planned military exercises in the Caribbean. Now, the U.S. Southern Command said the USS Helena, this is a month ago, a nuclear-powered fast attack sub pulled into the waters near the U.S. base in Cuba just a day after a Russian frigate, a nuclear-powered submarine, and an oil tanker and a rescue tug crossed into Havana Bay after drills in the Atlantic Ocean. In the guise of a routine visit, we basically parked on a fast attack submarine right up their butts. Now, this should give you pause. It should make you stop for a minute and go, what's going on? But here's the problem. I can actually find this article now. The problem is I've just got a whole bunch of stuff coming down right now. Just this weekend, while all this stuff with Trump was going on, Chinese warships were spotted off the coast of Alaska. Not even kidding. So let's review this, shall we? We have Russian warships parked off of our southeastern coast. We have Chinese warships parked off of our northwestern coast. Is anybody but me slightly concerned over this? At all? I mean, am I the only one that's looking at this going, guys, this sounds and looks and smells a lot like possibly a planned attack. Multiple Chinese warships were spotted near Alaska. And this isn't speculation. This is coming from the U.S. Coast Guard. And I know it's a CBS article, and I know CBS, NBC, ABC, take them for what they are. But I don't think they're lying about this. It says multiple Chinese military ships were spotted by the U.S. Coast Guard in the waters off Alaska, officials said in a news release on Wednesday. 3 vessels were detected about 124 miles north of the Amchitka Pass in the Aleutian Islands. And a 4th ship was spotted about 84 miles north of the state's Amchitka Pass. The ships were seen on Saturday and today. Of course, all 4 ships were in international waters, the Coast Guard said, but were inside the U.S. exclusive economic zone, which extends 200 nautical miles from the U.S. shorelines. In these areas, the United States has exclusive rights for exploring and using marine resources. Now, they're saying all 4 ships operated in accordance with the international rules and norms. This is what but think about the big picture, like I just said. You now have ships parked off of the northwest of this nation and the southeast of this nation. This is scary. This is scary. This has the smell of maybe a sudden EMP strike. Okay, think about the tactical aspect of what that is. How fast, especially now they're claiming they both have hypersonic missiles. Shoot them things 30,000 feet up in the air and blow them up. Boom, your electricity goes out. I would be just a little bit more concerned about that. And the vegetable in charge that we have running this country and his lack of response, his lack of cognitive ability to even address the situation logically. Folks, we got problems. We didn't have any of these problems under the last administration. Yes, all this after a weather balloon. Raptor, exactly. How coincidental is that? We've reached the bottom of the hour. I know I got a late start. I had some technical difficulties, but we're up and running. Got a lot of great guys in the room. We appreciate that. I'm going to be back in a few minutes. When we come back, we got some other things to. Hopefully I can be just a little bit more lighthearted. I'm not feeling really lighthearted because right now we're in a pretty dark spot. We're in a tight spot, boys. Don't go away. I'm going to be back in just a little bit. When I do come back, we're going to talk about the government-funded internet, or lack thereof. Don't go away. We're also going to talk about squatters' rights. This one makes you cringe. Lord have mercy on all of us. I'm Alan Ray. I'll be back in a minute.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier, in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Well, if you can only see what I see in the chat. Sorry, but I got some of the most intelligent listeners on KLRN Radio. I swear these guys are geniuses. That's the beauty of KLRN Radio, is we have the smartest listeners. It's quality, not quantity, right? But we want quantity too. We're discussing Russia and China and how they hate each other really in real life. And the economic warfare that's probably already going on right now. Welcome back. I'm Alan Ray. This is Sunday Night with Alan Ray. Gosh, it's 9:35 already. Wow. This is the fastest hour of my entire week. And crashing headlong into our Monday morning where I have to go to work. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by. We're having a good time. It's all about doom! And, of course, this is the show where we look about this giant blue ghetto rock that we're hurtling through space at an unimaginable speed, and we ask the eternal question.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
If you ever find out, let me know. Because right now, at this point, I can't really tell you. As you know, I don't watch TV. I get my news basically from Twitter. And you end up finding out that most of it's more accurate than watching the 6 o'clock news. The 6 o'clock news is completely biased. It's worthless. They can't even predict the weather correctly. I mean, these are the people, and don't get me wrong. I'm going to tell it like it is. The people that run the lion's share of the media, and I'm talking almost all of the media, especially the dumbed-down, drooling media that you hear on NPR and NPR, they will talk like this. So they sound semi-intelligent while they say that Donald Trump is practically Hitler and that the Earth is going to end in 5 years if we don't all live in grass huts or shipping containers and eat the grass in the fields and all the vegetables and bugs. You have to eat bugs because this is the only way to save the planet. The only way to save the planet is to give the government all of the power and the money. And you live like meandering little pigs. Anyways, it's no secret that the left controls the media, the lion's share of the media. They control the education system. Very few colleges, very few schools are conservative now. You can probably count them on Nancy Pelosi's 11 fingers. And when you sit there and you look at Twitter and you have to be careful. You have to be careful. There's a lot of parodies. There's a lot of things on Twitter that you look at and go, wow. And you pick through them and you start getting the news and you figure out who you can trust, who you can't trust. And you start watching stories surface. And then the truth eventually comes out. And a lot of times the truth is in direct conflict with what's being reported on the TV, on the radio. And these quote journalists, one course, they hate it. They hate that you find out the absolute truth. And at first they're like, well, you need to trust us. We're the journalists. We tell you what to believe because we're seasoned. We're trained to tell you what you need to believe. Never mind what the truth is. You need to believe us. Only to find out a few days later they changed their story to align perfectly with what you heard from the beginning. This is why nobody trusts the media. That's why when Kelly O'Donnell comes out, she says, well, we can't call this an assassination attempt. Our policies state that we have to get our information from Big Daddy government before we can call it. So we're really? It took you all of 2.5 minutes to call January 6th an insurrection. Went across all the news media outlets. All of them. Almost simultaneously. Almost as if they all got the memo at the same time. Basically what she did, what Kelly O'Donnell did, is confirm that they all get their talking points from the Democrats. Well, we can't call this an assassination attempt because the Democrats didn't call it that yet. Now she's changed her story. Yep, it was an assassination attempt, but it wasn't our rhetoric that did it. It was probably a right-wing rhetoric. It was the gun. The gun jumped up on that building and took shots at Donald Trump. That's what it was. Anyways, while all this is going on, I want to change this. I want to get into something kind of funnier. Okay, I want to lighten the mood a little bit. It's not really lightening the mood. It's really kind of depressing. But in New York recently, in the past year, you've been kind of hearing things bubble up about squatters' rights, about people moving into houses that are abandoned, that nobody was home, or somebody went on vacation, they come home, people are living in them. And I come across this article, I'm going to put it, let's see, let's get the real article, view original. I use Pocket all the time, and I know some people don't like it, but I'm just used to it, and I know how to manipulate it and move around in it. If I could find something better, I would. But Statista. I want to put this, let's see, copy right here in the chat room. And if you're not in the chat room, why not? Get in there. Squatters' rights by states. This little article by Statista says the debate about squatters' rights in the United States has been heating up to the point where it elicited a response from the Biden administration last Monday. In a statement said that it was critical that local governments take action. So they're pawning it off on the local governments. And that issues around squatters' rights were watched by the administration but considered a local issue. Oh, really? Really? I thought everything was the federal government's issue when it came to anything. Apparently they don't want to get involved in this one. They could lose a lot of voters if they're not careful. Anyways, this article, it goes on and on and on. Talks about, how the whole thing, you're on vacation. Somebody's moving into your house right now, Colubian. You can click on a state and it tells you, well, they're shaded, and they can tell you kind of what the squatters' rights, tenants acquire certain rights, how many years it takes of them squatting on your property or in your house. Now, in Michigan, we're kind of say 15 years. 15 years, okay. If you haven't been somewhere in 15 years, in your own property, I still don't believe that somebody has a right to it. But if they're taking care of it or something like that, yeah. And you know what? Exactly. He says, Clovian says, if he comes home to a squatter, they can pay the stinking Washtenaw County taxes. And it's funny you bring that up. Part of this article says in most states that part of the terms of having squatters' rights is they actually pay the taxes on the upkeep for the property. So if they move into your property, if you haven't been there 15 years, they move in, pay all the back taxes, and start upkeeping your property, they have rights to it. They could bump you right off. It's hard to prove in court, but they give an example. Let's see. California's required occupancy period is one of the shortest in the county or in the country, together with Montana's. Periods of 7 years are on the books in Arkansas, Florida, Utah, and Tennessee, even though the Florida statute will change as of July 1st. Washington's required period is pushed back to 7 years as well, if property taxes are paid, and otherwise it is 10 years. Like in several other states, including Texas, Oregon, Arizona, and South Carolina, New Jersey, and Louisiana, they employ the longest periods at 30 years, which 30 years would be almost impossible. So a lot of these states, a lot of these areas, and I put that article right in the chat room. If you neglect your property and they start paying the back taxes, which I guess they could go to the township and figure it out. And some of these places, Tennessee, a couple others, 5 years. 5 years isn't too long. If you've got vacation property in Kentucky and you haven't touched it and they're over there upkeeping it and paying taxes, you may come down there and you may find out that that house that your mama left you when she passed away isn't yours anymore. Or at least the people who are squatting in it have rights to stay there. It could be a legal battle. Just be warned. I thought that was a pretty interesting little article. And, you know, for as much as I dog on the media, when they come out with something like this, I was like, now you're actually coming up with something that we can use. What else we got? Oh, yeah. There's another interesting one from CNBC, Communist News Broadcast Network. They put out an article this week, and I find this article, it's kind of disturbing, but in a way it's kind of funny. They go into great detail of why the current job market has been such a bad match for college degree and recent grads. Labor analysts cited bifurcation in the current labor markets, and demand for jobs that don't require a college degree are outstripping demands for those that do. But recent grads are also fixated on certain positions with too many applicants rather than high demand roles. That's code for saying they're all going after the big high paying jobs and not working their way up to them. And then at large corporations such as Verizon, collaboration and teamwork skills are just as much in demand as technical know-how and critical to a good job interview performance. So what they're saying is, for jobs that don't require a degree, openings are up slightly from last year, from 65.75% of postings in 2023 to 65.98%. So almost 66% of the jobs do not require a degree. However, according to Lightcast data, 8 of the top 10 job postings in March were ones that did not require a college degree. So 8 of the top 10 job postings in March. No, you're right. You're right. Ordy, nobody needs a sociologist. Gosh darn it. Or a women's study expert. So this leads me to believe, I'm not anti-college. I have my degree. I can tell you other things that I'm not anti-college. If you do decide to go to college, kids, choose a degree that has value. Choose a degree where you can actually look around and say, I can use this degree to do this, 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 and this. I have a business degree. I have a business degree, for the most part, is like a jackknife. A business degree is like a jackknife. You can walk into any business and say, I have a business degree. Also, I have 30 years of experience. And they look at you and go, welcome, come on in, apply for this job. And your chances of getting it are much better. If you have some, as already says, sociology degree, women's study degree, DEI degree, equity degree, or something like that. Something that just the only job you can get. You know, I have a degree in penguins' butt hairs. You can only get one job, and that job is located in the North Pole. And there's 500,000 people applying for that job. You're not going to get it. I can tell you right now, and these people kind of back me up, say don't rely on college as the difference maker. Right, Clovian. Engineering degree, useful tool. Engineers are all over the place. But if you don't feel like getting a master's degree or even getting a bachelor's degree, even getting an associate's degree, and plus a job trade, welding, computer-aided design, something like that, you will have a better chance of getting a decent job. Now, are you going to get a $300,000 a year job? No, you're not. And these youth have to be, and I blame modern schools for this, that they don't do enough to tell the youth, look, when you enter the job market, you are not going to get a high-paying job right off the bat. I see these TikTok kids and stuff like that. Well, I went to college for 4 years, and all I can get is a job at Kmart or Walmart. Well, yeah. What was your degree in? It was in penguin psychology. Well, then, no, you're not going to get a job. You know, history majors. I love history. You're not going to get it. The only job you're going to get is teaching. There are college degrees that are very valuable and very sought after. There are college degrees that don't mean anything except you get to teach at another university if and when some fossilized professor decides to get a clue and retire, or they die. It's the only time you're going to get a job. If you learn a trade and you go to college, your resume is going to look a lot better. If you learn a valuable trade and decide not to go to college, and you apply yourself, you get an internship, you work your way through the ranks, make it $35-40 an hour, and you don't owe anybody anything. Used to be that if you had anything in a college degree, anything, they would look at you and go, yes, you have a college degree. It means you're smart. No, I can attest to the fact that you can be a doctorate in something and be dumb as a fence post. I know this firsthand. You know what, Clovian? I would love to be a history major. My cousin was a history major, and he makes a lot of money because he went into a different profession. But I love history. My favorite college courses were history. I took a Civil War course my first trip through college, and the teacher who taught it was one of the leading Civil War experts in the nation. And he looked just like Adolf Hitler, and he had a Southern accent. But he was a great guy. I loved him to death. So, yes, I mean, it's fine having that kind of degree, but you have to be marketable. But I don't think these schools do enough to tell these kids, don't expect so much coming out of college. You still have to work your way through the ranks. You're not going to get a $400,000 a year job. You're not going to get a $100,000 a year job. Chances are you're going to get a $50,000 a year job, maybe. But you have to apply yourself, get some experience, and then you can work your way up to a better job. You're exactly right, Raptor. History is fun. Some of my summer reading books, in fact, I got 4 or 3 summer reading books, and we'll get to those in a future episode because my summer reading is going very painfully slow, but my wife just got me these 3 books, and they're all history-based, and I can't wait to dig into them. Right now, I'm nerding out on portable wire antenna manufacturing that you can do on the fly for ham radio. So anyway, yes. I really don't want to get to this other story. It's depressing. It's about a couple that basically died of thirst out in the deserts because they got lost while they were hiking and didn't take enough water with them. I could go on and on and on, but you people have listened to me yammer and stammer about being prepared and not getting yourself into a situation. Let's talk about nerd stuff. Solar maximum is in sight. I'm going to tell you from experience, the sun has been throwing not a huge tantrum, but a continuous tantrum. Bands have been rough. Not dead, but rough. I did a Parks on the Air last week. We talked about it. And it was successful, but it was hard. Last night, I took my QRP rig, my little rig. Everything fits in a small pouch, a bag. And I've had pictures of it on our show. You've seen it. It's a little Zygu G106, 5 watts. I got a little bit of the antenna tuner next to it. And I purchased a 49-to-1 converter. It's not a balloon. It's not an unknown. It's a converter. And I strung a 62.5-foot wire across the backyard. It's probably about 4 to 6 feet off the ground, 4 to 7 feet off the ground in different places. And this is what they call a near vertical incident skywave antenna, which means it shoots the signals almost straight up into the atmosphere and comes right back down. You can do a lot of local HF with it. And I made a bunch of contacts, and it was kind of rough because, things were still a little rough, but a couple of them were said, yeah, you're coming through just fine. It was a test. And I plan on using that same antenna for a future Parks on the Air adventure. We'll see what's going on. I got to perfect it. But that said, we're going to end on this. Solar maximum is coming. May and June 2024 saw the highest sunspot numbers on the sun since 2002. But the peak of the solar cycle is not here yet. The sun follows an 11-year solar cycle of increasing and decreasing activity. Although not the first astronomer to discover the solar cycle numbering and naming convention was first introduced in 1852 by Swiss astronomer Johann Rudolf Wolf. Now, he has a solar cycle numbering system. And he started, of course, he set the historic 1755-1766 solar cycle 1. By the time of his work, the sun was already in solar cycle 9. As of December 2019, we are now in solar cycle 25. And it's getting better and better. It's a good time to be a ham radio operator, and it's also a horrible time to be a ham radio operator. So right now, we have this continuous flogging by the sun, and it's kind of screwing up the lower HF frequencies and making interesting higher HF frequencies. But the danger still remains of having a coronal mass ejection of the strength, and we've had a few of them that were pretty darn heavy. Knocked some communications out for a while. But we still have the possibility of a Carrington event, which, as you know, if you've listened to this show, is one of the things that happened, 100 plus years ago, that knocked out a lot of electricity. Now, there's a lot of argument whether it will do the same thing because of the way products are made. Even though we have light chips, light units, there may be salvation in the fact that electrical companies monitor solar activity. They have to. And we went over this a few months ago, that at that one really bad storm we had, they were having to basically control something like 3,000 extra watts per 100 miles in the wires, bleed it off. We're more prepared, hopefully. It's not a if, it's a when. And going through this solar cycle has given me a little more faith in the fact that maybe we are a little bit more prepared for something like a coronal mass ejection. But that doesn't protect us from a EMP, electromagnetic pulse strike. That's why I brought up earlier about the Russians and the Chinese strategically located diagonally across from each other. It would just take minutes in the middle of the night to basically take out everything. So I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you this again and again and again and again. Have a library of physical reading material that you can use to harvest local plants, things that grow wild around you. Have seeds available and have books available, even if you don't practice gardening, raising your own food. I recommend practicing it. I recommend doing it just so you know you're comfortable with it. Have methods and have the knowledge, the books, hard copy books of knowledge of your great-grandfathers and their grandfathers. Because that kind of knowledge may mean the difference between life and death. Not to mention the fact that this nation, in all honesty, is really teetering on the brink of some really interesting times. Be prepared. You don't have to go full-blown prepper, but have at your fingertips the knowledge of how to feed yourself, how to make soap out of lye, how to make lye, how to heat your house alternatively. I live in a cornfield. Yes, Raptor. I have tons of toilet out my back door. Never-ending supply of toilet paper, especially during this time of year. All right. Stay tuned for Rowdy Rick Robinson and Jay Homestead. They're coming up with America Off the Rails. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked on KLRN Radio all week long, Sunday through Sunday. Every day now. Every day we have good programming. So just bookmark the site. Now that we're on Twitter and just running live on Twitter, we seem to be getting a lot more people listening, joining in. And I'm happy about that. We're truly happy to have you on here. I'll be back next week. In fact, I should be back Friday morning. I think Friday morning, Stacy and I are going to try to pull off a Playing in the Dirt show. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it live on KLRN unless Rick volunteers to jump in and put it on there, because my computer just doesn't like that software. It's kicking it back. Going to figure that out someday. But, hey, keep it locked on KLRN Radio. I will be back next week, same bat time, same bat place. God bless. Peace out, people.
All right, folks, you start winding now, and it's going to be a few minutes. I have to reset a few things. We don't have any technical issues. We should be back by about 5 after, and Jen's going to join as soon as we can. Hang around for just a few minutes for America Off the Rails. I'm Rick Robinson, Programming Director, Elmy Clark. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.